we have all seen the horrifying visuals of how a 28-year-old Nikki Bhati walked down a flight of stairs engulfed in flames as her sister captured what became her last moments. We were told first it is a case of dowry abuse. All kinds of allegations and counter-allegations were hurled in what has emerged to be a massive family feud full of lies, full of deceit and full of patriarchy. But as this incident, which has happened within the National Capital Region in Greater Noida on the outskirts of Delhi, gets national and central focus, and it becomes a center point of a huge debate on dowry and how women are being treated. The question remains, was Nikki Bhati betrayed by her own? Is this an unfortunate case of a young lady battered by her in-laws and abandoned by her own family? This is the story of the state of progressive women in our society today. There are serious allegations made against the Nikki Bhati's in-laws based on the visual evidence that further solidified public sentiment. Nikki and her sister Kanchan were both married to brothers in the Bhati family in 2016, 9 years back. They faced 9 years of abuse, beaten over dowry demands through their entire marital life, and yet became, every time Nikki Bhati, frustrated, angry, returned home, she was convinced by the elders of the society that she has to adjust, that she has to go into, quote-unquote, reconcile and go back. On one hand were allegations of Kanchan, the elder daughter who was married in the same household, who said, quote-unquote, we were beaten and tortured for days. They were demanding 36 lakh rupees in dowry. They hit her on the neck and on the head. They threw acid and they set her on fire in front of her child. On the other hand were the words of a father who, in grief, who despite what happened, justified not approaching the police first. He has faith in a khap panchayat kind of model. He said, हमारे बिरादरी में बैठ के समझाया जाता है. In other words, in our community, we sit together and explain things. We go to a police or court when a person doesn't respect the panchayat and the community. कचहरी में तब जाते हैं जब कोई मान और सम्मान होता है पंचायत और बिरादरी का. His basic point is we settle it among ourselves. Today the same father stands and demands bulldozer action from the Yogi government. He demands an encounter of his son-in-law, but his actions and his words have stark contrast. After all that his daughter endured, after alleging murder, after publicly accepting that their daughters were brutally beaten up by the Bhati family, Nikki's own family let her in-laws, who tortured her, who killed her. Now they allowed the same people who murdered her, who set her on fire, to cremate her. Nikki's brother says it was her in-laws' last wish. And of course they prioritized the wishes of her daughter's killer over the last respect for her dead body. The same in-laws whose house they now demand to be razed. They handed her Nikki's body. Nikki's body, their daughter's body, was handed over to her killers. People who had spent years harassing and torturing her because they had been given, quote-unquote, many chances before. This is the face of the social evil of dowry. It raises serious questions on how parents are unable to protect their daughters because, guess what? Nikki Bhati's family that mourned her death and accused her in-laws of dowry harassment are now the same ones who are facing allegations of perpetuated dowry harassment by their own estranged daughter-in-law Meenakshi, the estranged wife of Nikki's brother Rohit Paila. As per reports which are now emerging, Meenakshi's family had given a car as dowry, which the Paila family sold, calling it inauspicious. And when Meenakshi's family refused the additional demand for a Scorpio SUV and cash, she was reportedly sent back to her parents. The case of Nikki is being discussed, but there are many more cases which have gone unnoticed. Viewers, in Amroha, 32-year-old Parul, a trained nurse and mother of twins, has been set on fire by her husband Devendra, a serving police constable, and 5 of his relatives after repeated dowry demands went unmet. In Sarnada village, Jodhpur, in Rajasthan, 32-year-old teacher Sanju Bishnoi and her 3-year-old daughter Yashasvi died after Sanju set them both ablaze allegedly due to dowry harassment by her in-laws and her husband and an associate. A suicide note detailed ongoing abuse despite prior dowry payments, including a car. Dowry-related deaths remain a persistent problem in India, with an average of 7,000 cases reported between 2017 and 2022, according to NCRB data. Dowry-related deaths continue to be a grave concern in India, accounting for 50% almost of all female homicides annually, according to data from 1999 to 2016. Another grim reminder is the Radhika murder case, where her father shot her dead for daring to be ambitious because she was running a tennis academy, because she was being independent, because she was making reels. No matter how accomplished women become, they are still made to pay the price for the so-called honor. We say we are a modern society, but we still ask women to live by rules written for a different time. We push them to fit into molds that don't belong in today's world, telling them to adjust, to not make a scene, to protect the very people who harm them, burn them, and kill them. And in that gap between who we pretend to be and what we really allow, women like Nikki are lost. Nikki Bhati's story isn't rare, and that's exactly what makes it terrifying. It's not a one-off case. It's the story of so many women we know, living lives they never signed up for, staying silent because walking away feels harder than staying. It's about women being told to be the bigger person, to compromise for the sake of family, to adjust even if it means slowly losing themselves every day. The hardest part to accept is this: Nikki did everything that was expected of her. She stayed, she tried, she kept going back, because that is what she was told to do by her own parents, by her own family. And still it was not enough to save her. As long as survival means surrender, and as long as silence is seen as a virtue, this will not stop. And when the next case appeared in the headlines, don't say you were shocked, because the truth is, we all saw it coming.